Please welcome Laura Berman Fortgang.
Thank you. Good morning. Oh, good. Thank you. I appreciate the response. As a coach, I work one-on-one with people. So when I'm in front of a group, if I don't hear you and feel you, I feel so alone up here. So let's be together today. We are talking about putting your priorities in place. But my first question is, what are your priorities? Do you know? How many people know what their priorities are? Good. Now, how many of you feel that they're in their proper place? There's a few of you out there. Good, then you might be graduates. Let's see how you do. Your priorities are those things that are important to you. But what happens? Life gets in the way, right? So we think, I'm out there, I'm chasing my dreams, or I'm doing what's important to me. I have time for the things that I want, yet why aren't I getting to them? And why we don't get to them is because life gets in the way. We have an emergency, we have a crisis, and that could be losing your keys. That could be the crisis of the day. It could take 2 hours away from you when you meant to go to the gym. Or something else comes along and takes 30 minutes away from you when you meant to be taking that 5 minutes of silence for yourself. So what we're going to do is talk about what your true priorities are. Let's identify them for you. If it's a reminder, great. If it's the first time you've really asked yourself, great. And maybe it's just time for them to change. Sometimes we don't get to our priorities because what we think is important really is outdated information. So we're going to talk about what they really are. I want to give you some tools today to protect those priorities. Just as you would protect your children or your pets or those things that are dear to you, you need to protect your priorities in the same way. That's the only way you'll get to them. And finally, I really hope that I give you some insight into long-lasting change today. Okay, so shall we get started? You still with me? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So do you know what's important to you? We already took the quiz. You gave me your show of hands. I know you know what's important to you. But what I want to do is ask you to take out your handout. You see a handout from me that says want versus should? Looks like that. Now, want versus should. We know what we want. We know what our priorities are. We know what's important to us. But life gets in the way. And how do you know that life is getting in the way besides feeling stressed out? Is that you start using the word should. How many people use should a lot in their language? You know what should means to me? It means to me someone else said so. Thank you. Someone else said so, because if it was really truly something you wanted, you would not be shoulding on yourself, as we say in coaching, a little coaching joke. Stop shoulding on yourself, because I can just show you, and you can show me back. Show me from your seats, what does should look like in your body? Show me should. Okay, I see someone like, I see someone else like bowed over. Should is like, oh, you're worrying, you're freaked out. How about when you really want something and you know what it is and what you're going to do about it? Let me see what that looks like. I see the chin go up. I see confidence. Right, so if should feels so bad, why do we do that to ourselves? So what I want to do is put you through a little test. It might bum you out, and some of you might graduate with stars. But if it bums you out, I promise I'm going to help you recover in the rest of our presentation, okay? So the first thing you're going to do is allow me, please, to be the Grinch who stole Christmas or Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. We got to be an equal opportunity Grinch. All right, so I'm going to take your whole life and put it in my bag. I'm the Grinch. I'm taking your whole life. You have nothing. You've been stripped of your schedule. You've been stripped of your obligations. You've been stripped of everything. And I'm going to give you one item back. Now, I chose for me health and well-being, because if I could spend my time focusing on that and I felt whole and complete and healthy, then I'm going to be giving my best. But it might be different for you. So some examples. Health and well-being, it might be being with your kids, it might be being with your family, it might be volunteer work. If you really can only do one thing, not worry about keeping a roof over your head, not worry about making a living, not worry about all those people who need you at every moment, what would be your life's central focus, Write down that one thing. Would you please? So I'm saying for me, I'll use myself as an example, health and well-being. Now, how many people have children that still are around and needing you and calling you? How many people have kids? Okay. Now, I'd like to make a distinction between family and kids and spouse, or kids and partner. Because a lot of people say, well, my first priority is family. But the truth be told, how many people put their kids in front of their partner? Come on, honest hands. Okay, so there's a little distinction there between your priority in family, so do separate them. Okay, so now the Grinch is giving you back a second thing in your life. If you could have your life only be about two things, what would they be? So I'll put my kids right there. Okay, are you ready for a third? Can you handle it? Your life's about three things now, so out of my bag comes your third thing. Your life can be about three things. Now, my husband shows up there now. He knows. He's third. It's okay. He can live with that. Don't feel sorry for him. Okay? Now, the Grinch, look, your life's about three things. How much is your life about on a daily basis? 14 things? 20 things? 25 things? You wonder why we feel stressed out. I'm allowing you just 5. And why only 5? Because studies show that people can really only focus on 3 to 5 things and do them well. So if you feel like you can't get anything done, you're focusing on so many things. Okay, but now we're just measuring what's really important to you. I'll give you a fourth thing. For me, it's satisfying work. For you, it might be spirituality. It might be community service. It might be work. It might be family. It might be your health and well-being. It might be religious study. Whatever it is for you. It might be adventure. It might be hobbies. It might be travel. Okay, so your life's about 4 things now. You have them written down? I'm giving you the last one. The Grinch releases your last piece of your life. That's where I put my volunteer work, but whatever it is for you. Okay? So you now have 5 things. And to me, what we've just done is asked you to prioritize the 5 most important things in your life. Now here comes the part where I might depress you a little bit. How much time do you really spend on these 5 priorities? Is life getting in the way? Are you shooting? Are you taking obligations to other places and missing out on your top 5 things? Let's test. You notice on your handout, on the right-hand side, there's a smaller column. It says your ideal life and your real life. Now what I would like you to do, please, is not grade yourself from 1 to 5 on how you're doing on each of these items, but I want you to put in numerical order how these things really appear in your life now. So let me show you what I mean. So for me, I say, oh yeah, health and well-being is number 1. Yeah. I've gained 15 pounds because I don't have time to go to the gym. I'm just like you. I keep saying I'm going to go, and then, someone woke me up at 5:30 in the morning, and I couldn't get out to the gym because the little kid needed my attention. Okay, so the truth is, it's really my 5th priority. My kids, they get their attention right where I said I would. My spouse, he fell down a few notches, right, in reality, because I'm like too tired to stay up and watch Law and Order. Okay? Satisfying work, I love my work. So I tend to get so zealous about my work that I'm not putting my other priorities in place. And then community service, I have such a good heart. Such a good heart. But I'd have yet to volunteer from my son's Cub Scout troop. I want to, but life gets in the way. Okay? So what is it for you? How do your things really match up? I'm going to give you 15 seconds to do that. Dun 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 dun. I heard your chuckles. I know who watches Jeopardy. Okay, so how many of you, 5 to 5, what you say is important is how your schedule really is every day? Show of hands. No graduates. You can't leave. The doors are now locked. Okay, 4 out of 5 things match up. I see you. 3 things match up. Now, I told you, you would not be the only person to have a lower score on this. By the way, I forgot to say, if you don't get to that thing at all, it's an O. It's not a 0. It's not a grade. It's an oh, I don't get to that, okay? How many people had two things match? Good, good. Honesty in the room, please. Hands up. One thing match. Nothing matched. Be proud. All right. Yes, you need to be here. You need to put your priorities in proper place. And so that's my little depressing quiz. The truth is, we know what we want. We just don't behave in ways that allows us to get it. We get distracted. Maybe we are obligation-centered. You know, I should do this. I have to do this. Instead of truly life-centered. If your list was off, if you were like 2, 1, bunch of zeros, I bet you're stressed. How many of you feel like you're stressed? Yes, because this list is in direct correlation to your level of stress. If you're focusing on the things that you say are important to you, you're not feeling as stressed. You're feeling pretty joyful. You're getting what you want. It's those of us that let the priorities get out of place that feel that stress level. So what can you do? Well, maybe we want to know why it's so hard. Do you want to know why it's so hard? It's hard because as women, we got the hero syndrome. You know what the hero syndrome is. But just in case you don't, we're going to take another quiz together. If this reflects you, raise your hand. I'm often the one who people depend on in a pinch. Hello. I'm someone whom several people trust with private information. Thank you. Keep raising your hand. I'm often overwhelmed by all the obligations I have to meet. Come on, truth, truth. It's important to me to feel needed. Wear those hands. Thank you. I get great satisfaction from knowing I'm the only person who can solve a certain problem. Yes! Tell the truth. I have several friends and colleagues who only call me when they need something. I saw one hand go straight up. Yes! Yes, okay. And I usually volunteer for any task or project. Come on, we're not done. I'm going to humiliate you a little more. It's difficult for me to receive praise. Come on, women and men. Yes, good. I want to feel calm and control more often. That one, I think, if you need that, you need to yell out for it. Do you? Do you want that? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let's see. It's hard for me to end each day with a sense of accomplishment. Hello. I'm the first one to begin my day and the last one to call it quits. Is that you? I catch myself complaining about the same problems over and over. I know you're out there. I often count on adrenaline to get through the day. That means you drink coffee, you need the chocolate in the afternoon, you're rush, rush, rush. Any rushers? Come on, there's a Starbucks on every corner, for goodness sakes. I'm not compensated for this, necessarily. So, okay, so if we know we have some hero syndrome going on here, but let me give you the source of the hero syndrome. What happens, why we do this is, we're just good people. Okay, so know you're a good person. This is not a character flaw. What it is sometimes, though, is that we get our needs met by being the hero. We get something by people needing us. We get something by being the one who has the answer. We get something by being a bit martyr-like at times, you know? But if you're complaining about it over and over, there's no joy in your martyrdom. And I want joy for you. That's what I want. So we need to calm the hero syndrome. We need to calm it. If you could recognize that sometimes you're saying yes because it feels good to say yes, but then you're bitching about the thing that you said yes to, it's off, okay? So you got to recognize before you say that yes, why am I doing this? Is it because I want to be the hero? Is it because I'll look good? Or do I really want to do this? Okay, so we know we're a little hero-like, and I'm going to help you out of this. I'm never going to leave you with the problem, hopefully with the solution, okay? This is what we can do. We need to set boundaries. I'm going to explain what that is. Make different choices, and finally, honor ourselves. Well, let me tell you a story about somebody who overcame the hero syndrome. How many of you work in some kind of job or another, whether it be volunteer or paid? This example happens to be about the workplace. I work with a woman who worked in the research and development department for a fast food company, which means she's one of the people who's responsible for creating some of those tasty sensations. And she was the person who volunteered for all the projects that nobody wanted, like the company picnic. I'll do it. Or the company fire safety program, I'll do it. So she comes to me because she keeps being passed over for a promotion. And she says, I really want help. I don't know why they're not choosing me. No one will give me the feedback. So I asked her, what do you want to be known for? And she said, I want to be known for creating innovative ideas in my department. So back to that want should. How much time in your day are you spending creating wonderful ideas for your department? None. Because you're busy with the fire safety program? Yeah. Because you're busy with the company picnic? Yeah. So what we saw was that A, she wasn't spending any time on it, and B, she was reacting from the hero syndrome. Like, oh, I'll do it. I'm good, I'm fabulous, you need me. But she was off from what she wanted. So it took us about 4 months to rearrange that puzzle. Part of it was setting boundaries. Part of it was making different choices for her time. But truly it was about honoring herself and what she truly wanted and not reacting from the need to be needed. Now, it only took 4 months to rearrange all that, and she got her promotion within 6 months. Just like that. That's all it took. Because what she was doing was giving away every piece of her to be seen in the moment and forgetting what she truly could contribute. And we do that. We do that, right? So let's talk about setting boundaries. Boundary is just a fancy word for no. How many of you have trouble saying no? Good, you're not alone. We're going to practice. Ready? 1, 2, 3. No. Thank you very much. Success. Beautiful. Now, if I ask you again, don't say no. Okay, just do as I asked today. But, a boundary is a fancy word for no, but it's also an imaginary line that tells people how far they can go with you. I doubt that many of us have a pool here in Manhattan, but anyone live in a complex with a pool or goes to a country place that has a pool, you can imagine having a pool. So if you do not have a fence around a pool, hi guys, what's up? Oh, okay, very good, they're taking a question. So they will give you a card to write down a question. I was like, are we selling peanuts? What's going on? Okay, so if you had a pool and you didn't have a fence or a door or something that put people away from the pool, what would happen? Everyone would use your pool. Now, by law, we must have a fence or some kind of thing protecting a pool. Therefore, people must do what to enter the pool? Ask permission. Baby, you're the pool. And your boundaries are the fence. Okay? If you have more than your share of problems, you have too many people in your pool. They know there is no fence around your pool. They can get in without asking permission. So a boundary is an imaginary line that says, don't mess with me. You know this. You know this. You know people who don't have boundaries. Oh, sure, I'll do whatever you want. Then there's people who are like, the boundaries are a little further out, and they're like, I'm not sure, let me think about it. People have very extensive boundaries. They're saying, don't mess with me. And people with really extensive boundaries are saying, don't even look like you're thinking about messing with me. Okay? And when they're that extensive, sometimes that turns into a wall and you have no friends. We don't want that. But really, we want to be able to communicate to people, you're not the go-to person. But it's our behavior again, isn't it? I have young kids. My boundary is they must clean up after themselves. But when I take the stuff up the stairs for them, I'm telling them, walk all over me. You don't have to do it, right? So look at the things you do that say, walk all over me. That's how people walk all over you. And take your time. Give up apology language. And I know there's a few gentlemen in the room, and you're really wonderful. I love when men come to women's events. One of two things is going on. They're really sensitive, good guys. They want to know what's going on with women, figure they can learn a few things. Or they're trolling for a date. And either way, I give you a lot of credit. Okay, so we got to give up apology language, women. When you have to say no, but you're really saying, I'm really, really sorry. I'm so sorry. I mean, maybe, I just feel so bad. You are not saying no. You're saying, ask me again anytime. Because your guilt is like so high, they know they're going to get what they need from you. All right? So it's, as you can see, it's about being selfish, but it's selfish with a capital S. It's selfish of honor the self. Because from the full cup, we can giveth much more than we can from the empty cup. Think of a gas tank. You need a full tank to drive your car properly. You need a full tank of nutrition to have a good day. When you run from an empty tank, you forget to eat. Or you run from an empty tank and you don't fill a car. You're running on fumes. And what do fumes give you? A headache. You wonder why you got headaches in your life. You have to run on a full tank, so don't say, I'm sorry, I really wish I could. I do. I really wish. No, you don't. The truth is, I can't. I can't do it this time. The truth is, right here, this is the magic phrase. If you take nothing away today, take that last phrase, because this is how you say no. You need to re-educate people. People know that you're the go-to person, perhaps, or you'll do it. And you need to re-educate them. You have to say, I used to be the one to take on every volunteer project any time of day or night. I used to be the one to do the food shopping if it killed me. But I want you to know, now you can count on me to be here for you 3 times a year. Or you can count on me for the really big projects, but let's find someone to help me with the small projects. Or you can count on me to go food shopping once a week. And if you forgot something on the list and you didn't tell me, go get it yourself. Okay? So we need to re-educate people. Because believe me, if all of a sudden you're like, no, 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 they're like, what happened to you? Right? If we re-educate them and say, I used to be like that, but now I'm going to be like this, you're showing your boundaries. It's going to be respected. Okay? So what's our new favorite word, at least while we're in training? Thank you very much. Now you need to make different choices about how you spend your time. The funny thing is I work with a lot of people who are transitioning. They want to figure out what else to do with their life. Or they come to me and they say, my level of stress is too high, but I know it's about how I'm balancing my life. Can you help me? And I'll ask them, well, what's your criteria for happiness? And it's kind of like that same want-should list. I think what's going to make me happy is all the things I'm doing, but maybe not. So what is your criteria for happiness? If you're saying I'll be happy when I lose 20 pounds, or I'll be happy when I find that wonderful person to share my life with, or I'll be happy when I finish this or do that, you are delaying gratification. And when you get to that place, you're probably going to say, well, now I know I have that, but if I only had that. So we really want to be careful that it's not about putting something out in the future that's going to make us happy. It's about understanding right now, what are your needs and what are your values? And this is how I define needs. Needs are those critical things that you must have that you probably did not get enough of as a kid. So they kind of have a Jekyll and Hyde behavior to them. Like when you get the need met, let's say it's for recognition. I'm someone who stands on a stage for a living. Perhaps I need a little recognition. Okay? And my first career was as an actor, so I can guarantee I need a little recognition. So I have this need for recognition, right? If it doesn't get met, you might go into your is it Jekyll? Yeah. Right. The ugly behavior, like hinting for something, like I want you to tell me I'm great, or you might compare yourself to somebody else and say like, well, why them and not me? Your ugly stuff comes up. But when your need is met, you're your best self. Okay? Now, needs can't be met all the time by other people. Sometimes they have to be met by you. And how you meet them yourself is just knowing what your needs are. If you get upset about something, how many people get upset and can lose half a day to an upset? Or 3 days to an upset? Okay, that's because you can't name the need. So if you say what need is not being met, the need to be heard, the need to be listened to, the need to be cherished, the need to be recognized, the need to feel valued, the need to be recognized for your ideas, whatever it is. When you can name it, you can say, oh, look at that. When you can't name it, it's like, that's when those upsets last a long time. So if you can name your needs, take this as homework. You'll be able to make different choices about how you spend your time. Like that need for recognition shows up in the hero syndrome. But if we know, it's the hero syndrome, don't say yes, don't be tricked. You've got the power back. Life is not getting in your way, all right? And now what are values? Values are not exactly the opposite, but they do come at the other end of the spectrum. See, getting your needs met is not optional. If you don't get that need met, you're like, ugh. But if you do get the need met, then you can go to the other end of the rainbow, and the pot of gold at the end of that rainbow is your values. And I don't mean like your religious and moral values and your ethical values. I mean those things you love, those things you want your life to be about. So whether it be spirituality or family or adventure or travel or discovery or luxury even, you know, whatever it is that gets you that that's a value. And the thing is, we can't get to those values if we're still stuck in need. All right, so you see that? These two things, let them be new eyes for you on how you make your choices. Is it truly a want, or is it a should? Is it a need, or is it a value? See how they have different energy? And it's all about energy. You will have more energy when you're on track, when you're balanced, when you're following your true priorities. So the final question up there is, you know, what are you willing to tolerate? Are you willing to tolerate out of control schedule? Are you willing to tolerate that stressed out feeling? That feeling when you just want to like go to a spa and never come back. You know. That feeling of everything just not being quite right when, you know, we live in this area. We know we are okay in terms of the privileges we're allowed. Right? So what are we willing to put up with? Some people get to the point where they don't put up with the city anymore and they go find trees. Or they're not going to put up with that neighbor anymore. Or they're not going to put up with noise. Or they're not going to put up with people who want things from them at any hour of the day. Boundaries, changes. Okay? But it all gets down to honoring yourself. And really being able to hear yourself. How many of you are able to take a certain amount of quiet a day? I'll call it meditation for those of you that meditate and that are comfortable with that. Some of us still are like, I don't know what this meditation thing is, but quiet. How many people actually take on purpose some quiet time every day? Oh, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9? Oh, a few more hands. Okay, good. The easiest way to be in touch with yourself is to be with the silence. And the reason why most of us are afraid to be with silence is because we have to be with ourselves in the silence. Right? A lot of us might live alone in Manhattan. So do you turn on the TV for company? How many people do that? Or the radio? Or always need something going on? It's hard to just sit still? Okay, that's because that rhythm, that vibration keeps us engaged. Keeps us maybe from feeling lonely or feeling sad. But the truth is, how we know what our priorities are, how we know what we really want, is by just being in the quiet. And really, really feeling. And I call it telling the truth. I also call it getting in touch with your DNA and your life blueprint. To me, a life blueprint is that imprint on your soul that says what you're here to do and what's going to make you happy. Because when you're happy, you're a contribution to the world right there. You're kinder on the subway. You're more patient online, right? You know, you might be behind the wheel and not ready to just hit that annoying person, right? You're just in the flow. So we want you to be on your path, on your life blueprint, into your own DNA. Because a peaceful person is a contribution. And it really gets down to trusting yourself. And that means sometimes making really hard decisions. Really hard decisions. Like, on the simpler end perhaps, is, you know, it's the 15th graduation party that your family needs to go to for all the relatives. And you're burnt out and you do love them madly, but you just can't take another weekend trip to another graduation or another ceremony or another thing. And it feels so selfish to say no. But sometimes to truly, truly honor yourself, you may need to say No. And I know that to a lot of you be like, I can't do that. No way. It's family. Family's important. Yes, family's important. But sometimes it does mean trusting your own natural rhythm. Now it might be a business decision. As I was introduced, you've heard all the kind of people that I've worked for and all the things that I've done. And really, I came to this career 14 years ago from an acting career. And I was only 29 years old, so do the math. I forget how old that makes me. That's too old. Somewhere in there. Anyway, so I was 29 years old when I started. Very big hair. Very big hair. And short and, peppy. And who was going to take me seriously? 29 years old, an actor with big hair. But the one thing that I had that other people didn't have was I knew where I wanted to go. I knew that the coaching technology I worked with changed my life, and I knew that people needed it. And I just kept going. And I said no to things that you would be like, you're crazy. You said no to that? Let me give you a hint. If everyone thinks you're crazy, you're totally on the right path. Yes, you are telling the truth. You are trusting yourself, and you're being true to your own DNA and life blueprint. When everyone around says, you're nuts. Why do they say you're nuts? Because you have threatened their status quo. They don't have the courage that you do to say no. Right? So in my case, I was really lucky when I was discovered, literally, almost like the same sitting at the counter of Ava Gardner and getting discovered. I was in a magazine, and 2 publishers called and said, have you thought of writing a book? And the first one, I was like, sure. And the second one said, have you thought about writing a book? And I said, why, as a matter of fact, I have. So these 2 publishers fight it out. I end up with one of the biggest literary agencies in Manhattan representing me, because, you can walk in anywhere when it's like, I have 2 publishers. You want to do the deal? Right? And I'm not going to give away any names because I'm going to trash them a little bit now. And so I was with them, and when my publisher said, who are we dealing with? With you? We're going to write a contract with you? They thought they found, somebody, a nobody who didn't know anything. And I was like, oh, no. You're going to deal with them. And they were like, oh, shoot. I knew I had power. So here I am with this powerful agency, and, someone would think, oh, here's this unknown person, she's going to write a book, and she's so young, and she gets this biggest agency to represent her. I did my first book with them, and then I just knew in my heart that they weren't right for me. They didn't have anyone else in their roster of people who I wanted to be when I grew up as an author. And they didn't know anything about what I did. They didn't care about what I did until I got on Oprah. Then they're like, oh, we want to talk to you. And it was time to do another book. And I knew in my heart, my truth, my DNA, my trust myself, everyone told me I was crazy. I had to find somebody else. And they said, you will never write another book in this town, honey. You don't know who you're talking to. I wrote 2 more. And I have an agent who really believes in me and who really understands what I do. So sometimes we have to make scary decisions that the rest of the world thinks we're crazy to do in order to honor ourselves. And that's how you put your priorities in place, by honoring yourself. And I know I used the selfish word. And again, I want to reiterate that it's selfish with a capital S. It's self that has the big work to do out in the world. And that doesn't mean everyone has to be out there working and touching the masses. I had somebody once who stood up at a lecture and said, I would love more than anything to have a Mother Teresa type role in the world. Do any of you put that kind of pressure on yourself? Like you should be doing more? Like you don't do enough being a super person or a super parent or a super volunteer? Okay. And I said to this woman, well, you know how Mother Teresa came to be Mother Teresa? Was that she found one person in the street and no hospital would take him. So she brought him home. Did she ever think that that was going to be her role to sainthood? No. She just did what was right on that day to honor herself and this person she found. So I said to the woman, I said, start by being Mother Teresa to yourself. Then be Mother Teresa to your cat. and we'll take it from there. We stop ourselves thinking that, to have a good life, it has to be so big. We brag about all the things that we do and all the wonderful things we have to be proud of, and that's great. But if it's really taking you away from that, from you, then it's not so great. You know what one of the biggest illnesses in our country is? Besides all the lovely ones we got to hear the doctor speak about this morning. The illness that I see, or the malaise that I see in my business, is people with everything who aren't happy. Because we followed some external course of what it means to be successful. But putting your priorities in place means following the internal course to being successful. So here's your last chance with those lovely cards coming down the aisle, because we're gonna take questions in just a moment. Okay, so this is what we've talked about so far. Do you know what your true priorities are now? Did you write them down? How many people know what their true priorities are now? Show me. Do we have to start all over again? How many people now know what their top 5 are? Good. How many people feel they have some tools to protect their priorities? Were you listening? Okay, good. Don't be shy. And you have some insight? All right. So I'm ready to take some questions from the audience. Hold on, I got to check my audience person. Are we ready? Okay. Here we go. They're coming to me on paper. Great. Okay. All right. This is serious. Okay. Once I identify my need, how do I teach my partner to understand these needs? How do I teach him to understand what new language I am using? That's a really good question. People can relate to that question. Hello. Okay. You know what? It's pretty easy to communicate needs. Maybe what would help is sometimes when we say, I need you to listen to me. Anyone ever tried that one? How does it work? Not very well. You see, because what we need to do is, again, educate and instruct. It's like, I really need you to listen to me. That's a need I really have. Okay, but if they don't know how, they're not going to be any more effective than they were yesterday just by knowing you have the need. So what we need to do is we need to say, look, this need is not optional for me. This is what happens when I don't feel listened to. I get angry. I want to go off and call somebody and tell them what a rotten person you are. I want to punish you in little subtle ways. Like, oh, did I forget to bring in that thing that you wanted me to bring in? Oops. I know you don't do it on purpose. But we just sometimes, when we don't get our need met, I said, the ugly stuff comes out. So we need to say, this is what happens. This is my ugly stuff that happens when this need isn't met. When the person knows how crucial it is to you, they might try a little harder. Then you tell them, and this is what it looks like. For me to feel like you're really listening, first of all, could you look me in the eyes? Don't read the paper. Could you sit down and like settle in with me so I can see that you're listening? And you know what? The best way for you to listen to me is to shut up. Don't say anything. That's not listening. Listening is listening. The other day, my husband, I was doing something in the bathroom and, scurrying about, and I was trying to tell him something. And my God, after 15 years, he has learned how to listen. He sat on the side of the tub, and he stopped, and he leaned into me. And he just sat there and listened to everything I said. And I was like, astounded. And he left the room, and I yelled after him, that was really good listening. And that's what you got to do, just like kids, just like pets. Good job, very good. People maybe they have a need for recognition. I know my husband does. So say that's exactly it. And also, getting people right in the moment when they're not getting that, helping you meet that need, and their behaviors often saying, that's the thing you do, right there, that's it, that's what we were talking about. Don't do that. My mom is someone who I've had to do the need conversation with. It doesn't matter, any age, if your mom's still living, she loves you to the point of annoyance. And when you're a mom, you're like, oh my God, I've turned into my mom, right? But my mom, first I was an actor, then I was this coach in 1990 when nobody knew what it was. And she was like, when are you going to get a real job? And I was like, Mom, that's not support. I need support. What that is you being afraid for me. And you know what? I don't want to hear it because that's not supportive. When you doubt me, I doubt myself. And I get scared and I lose my resolve and it takes me a week to get back on track. So my mom was like, this coach speak, this need language. She's like, what are you talking about? I said, don't worry, I'll show you. So the next time she's like, do you really want to do that? I don't know. That's it. That's not supportive. When you're afraid, Mom, tell Dad. Don't tell me, right? So that's telling people about your needs, and that's setting boundaries. And that's selfish, and that's okay. Good question. Thank you. Okay, now we have a question from the Berkshires. Hello, wherever you are. What tips can you offer for transitioning from the hero to the no, I can't help you anymore? My family and colleagues will see me as the hero even if I try to change. Oh, yes. We set a good precedence. When people know our MO, they're used to our MO. So it's back to what I said in the slide, is you have to re-educate people. Before I was like this. Now I'm going to be like this. This is what you're going to count on me for. And it's hard not to slip into your old behavior, and remember to stick to your guns. Okay? That's the short answer on that one. Let's see what else we have. Okay, this is a good one. Whew. Okay, my husband is ill. My daughter has a sick child. My son lives far away. Everything seems up to me, and I can never trust anyone else to take care of my family. I don't think I'm different from a lot of people, that they are my priority. What can you say about people who have priorities like mine? So how many people in doing the exercise like, well, this is my priority? So what are you talking about, lady? Okay, so you've got a lot of priorities. Yes, they're the most important thing. Yes, you have obligations. And yes, I want to be sensitive to the fact that there's people who are ill and need you. But what do we know about caretakers? They have to be whole and complete and rested to be the best caretaker. And I know it's like it makes sense intellectually, but in your being it's kind of counterintuitive because you just want to be there for the people who need you. But if you can pull away, if you can get someone else to take your place for an hour or 2 hours a day, or if you know you can look forward to a break, it helps you get through. And yes, there are critical times in our lives when a lot of the people really, really need us. Not perceived need, not habit need, but illness need or dependency need. And yet we still really have to find a way to have a break. And when someone says, I can't trust anyone else with my family, part of me agrees with that wholeheartedly, and part of me also knows that if you don't get a break, you could get struck with something, and then you're all going to need someone to take care of you. So it's really about just trading out in the short term for the long-term effect. I had my son had a bad croup this week, and we ended up in the hospital. That was a first-time experience to be admitted to the hospital. My wrist still hurts from sleeping on the chair. And, my husband's like, well, I'll stay with him. I'm like, no, I'm the mother. Right? Of course I'm going to be there. But I also knew, I hadn't slept in like 30 hours. And I called my husband and I said, okay, you are going to have to find a way to come in. Let me go home, take a shower, we'll trade out. right? And if it couldn't be my husband, I would have let my mother. I would have let somebody. Just knowing that the further I ran myself down, the less help I was going to be. All right, so I hope that helps with that question. How are we doing on time? Oh, we have another. Thank you. I love this question. When to use a coach versus a therapist? Very good. My profession thanks you for asking that. When to use a coach versus a therapist? To me, therapy is a wonderful thing, and coaching is very distinct from therapy. Here's how, if I give you an example. Here's a pen. A therapist might say, well, what does that remind you of? Or how does that make you feel? Or does it bring up something from the past? And a coach is going to say, well, what are you going to do with that? What does that look like? When are you going to do it by? Who's going to help you? Who's going to support you? So, in a very simple distinction, therapy is often about processing the past in order to be whole in the present. And coaching assumes you're whole, looks for what's working versus what's not working, and helps you build a future from there. Now, sometimes coaches will look at the past in terms of there may be a pattern or there may be something that's a behavior thing that you do all the time, and coaching can address those things from a very positive forward motion standpoint, action-oriented standpoint. Where it becomes therapy is if we have to process it. Like, if someone said to me, perfect example, I had a client who, was not working on a therapy issue with me. She was working on figuring out what to do with her life and wanted to go on to a new job, been stuck in the same job for years, didn't know what else she would do. And in the middle of it, she'd been stuck for a really long time. And I said, the level of stuckness that you have tells me that this isn't just about not knowing what you want or being confused. There's something here that you haven't dealt with. And she goes, oh, you mean like the fact that I have alcoholic parents? I was like, yeah. I said, have you ever dealt with that in therapy? And she's like, no. Now's the time. So off she went for a while in therapy and then came back to me when she had some handle on that, because then she was clear and back in touch with herself and trying to get on with what she wanted to do. So I hope that gives you a difference between coaching and therapy. And it's not that therapy is just for tragedy, trauma, deep healing of the past. It's great for other things too, and coaching just will not deal with processing the past. We're not trained to do that. Great question, thank you. I might have answered the question for you. Hi, what do you do if you feel frozen and can't even list priorities or don't know what will make you happy? Have we tried therapy yet? And I don't mean to be coy. Sometimes, okay, how do you discover where you want to go? Actually, I'm really glad you asked this, because when you can't list your priorities, when you really don't know what you want, to me, after 14 years of experience, my answer to that is desensitization. You're desensitized from yourself. Sometimes that desensitization means that we're being numb because we're avoiding something we have to heal, like it may be something that happened in your childhood where therapy is the right place to look. Other times it just may be you've sort of like given up in a way and you're not in touch with what you want anymore. And I give people this very simple assignment. Stop looking for what your priorities are. Stop trying to decide what you need to do. Get a hobby immediately. And I call it hobby by crisis. Get out. Find something you can do that's tactile, whether it be pottery or painting or even dancing with your whole body. Something that engages you fully and gets you feeling. If you used to play an instrument and you haven't touched it in a lot of years, go touch it. I have seen incredible breakthroughs for people in people who want clarity of some kind or want to feel like they know what they want or want priorities in place, to just get back in touch, literally, with yourself. Also, get massage, get body work, have the body come back, because it's your feeling mechanism. It's how you know what you want. Sometimes we try to do that work up here in our head, and it's not there. That's when when you're trying to figure it out, that's when it doesn't come. When you can feel it in your gut, that's where it comes. So whoever asked that question, thank you. And if you haven't tried working with a therapist, there may be a place you need to look to in the past to uncover, to move forward. It may just be a matter of desensitization, and you need to get back in touch with art, beauty, yourself, creation, creating, and it will start making things clear. The other thing, once you've done that, very simple. I'm going to tell it to you through a story. I had a client once who came to me after a small car accident because she really knew that it was a wake-up call, that things were spinning out of control in her life. And she really didn't know what she wanted to work on with me. You know, she didn't know if it was her job or what. I said, okay. Just tell me what's not working in your life. This is back to sensitization, okay? She said, well, everything's a mess. My car's a mess. My desk is a mess. My closets are a mess. I said, okay, that's where we're going to start. You're going to clean up your car, clean up your desk, clean up your closets. I'm not coming. It's up to you. Yes, people pay me for this, okay? And it worked because she came back and she's like, I said, how'd it go? And she's like, oh, I got rid of so much stuff. My closet is so organized. There's blouses, skirts. They're all by color. Oh, it's fabulous. You know that feeling? When you're organized, you just feel virtuous. You just feel like you can see anything you can see for days. So she's already feeling better. And I said, okay, now what's not working in your life? And she goes, well, I mean, I've gained weight. My clothes don't fit right. I'm not exercising anymore. Get her back to a routine. You know how you feel when you get back to the working out or the gym or walking or whatever it is that you do. Again, I feel good. I have energy. I feel clear. Now, we know the next level. What's not working now? Oh, now I can see that I hate my boss. Oh, look at that. Look at that. And I said, okay, so what about the boss? And it was a merger, and he's new, and he came in, and he's trying to take over, and I was like, wait, okay. What if you became this guy's ally? And she's like, whose side are you on? I'm on your side. Become his ally. Teach him the ropes. Get him accommodated here at the job. And so she did that. And 7 weeks later, they needed to start discussing in the company who was going to be the next director of sales. And she was already a VP of sales. So guess who put her name in the hat? Her boss. And that is my story of how cleaning your closets can get you a promotion. And I mean that quite literally, that this person who asked this question, the hobby, desensitization, get back sensitized, but also give up any big goal, any big problem, and get back to the basics. Clutter, cleaning up, getting organized, it brings your energy back. I know what's going to happen when I ask this next question. How many people have clutter? Come on. I've talked across the planet. Probably the Japanese people are the only people without clutter because they don't have room for it because their homes are this big. But we Americans and the Europeans and the Dutch and everyone, we got clutter. Celebrate. Woo! Okay. Now, people, why do we have clutter? Our apartments, we keep everything. Who keeps everything? Who's afraid to throw things out? Everything has sentimental value. Yes, okay. But you know what it's at the basis of this, for me, is really that we don't trust. We don't trust ourselves, and we don't trust just life. Because, and I live with a dad who has a room, well, I don't live with him now, but I live with a dad we have a room in the house called the Berman Archives. No one can go in because it is floor to ceiling, things he cannot get rid of. That's not very good. But why we do it, I think, my opinion, is that we don't trust we'll find it again when we need it, right? We don't trust that if we let it go, we'll have the money or the resources or the ability to get something back later on if we need it. So we keep and we hoard. But what happens, it's back to energy and sensitization, is that we can't see. We can't see through the clutter. We don't invite people to our house because we're ashamed of our clutter. I heard those chuckles. We rob ourselves of a lot of joy because of that clutter. And if we just learn to trust that, you know what? Let it go. Energy flow can increase. Energy is stuck when it's cluttered. Just think of your purse, ladies. When it's cluttered, where is it? When it's clear, there it is. Same with your life. If it's cluttered, there's no energy flow. So we have to trust that if we let it go, it's going to go on to good things, it's going to serve somebody else, and if I need it, I'll find it. There's this thing called the internet. We don't need to keep stacks of paper, right? My dad can't hear that, but maybe you can. So we've covered a lot of ground here today in a short time, but my objective is that you have some insight for change for today and for the coming weeks. So if you take anything away, take one thing away, if you would. That, you can always blame it on me. Because it's not just my side of the story, she says. It's mine and my life coach's side of the story. But in the end, if you're too busy to enjoy life, you're too busy. Say no. Stop letting life get in the way. Thank you very much.